Here are the rest of the cards. As you can see, they're all split out. And so they're the old DC business cards. And, I don't know if you guys play DC Universe Online. But I just want to talk about it a little bit. It's a project I've worked on for about 5 years with a bunch of guys at Wildstorm. And it was, what was great about it is that when we started the project, we were very faithful to the DC Universe. Then as we started getting into it, we started playing around more with the costumes and things we could do and couldn't do, or things that we thought we couldn't do when we started, and we realized there really wasn't a guidebook. If you look through all the iterations of the costumes, everyone kind of draws the characters slightly differently. And it kind of emboldened us to take more risks and changes and change the costumes a little bit, tweaking them as we went along. And I think that was really a good build-up towards the new 52. I think it got us in the mindset of, you know what, maybe these things aren't as sacred as we thought they were. And more importantly, maybe there's things we can do that will make them more exciting to the audience today. Because if you really look at all the interpretations of the characters we do in our comics, whether it be games, movies, cartoons, the costumes aren't that faithful. The creators of these adaptations end up doing their versions of the characters. And so in a sense, we were holding ourselves back, trying to be true to some spirit that others weren't necessarily carrying on. And I think, in a way, you want to be leading the charge. You want to be showing all the cool things you can do with these characters and not have it be the other way around. Okay, so this is back to work in progress. I'll get to about 10 after. Yeah, great. So again, this is something I'm going to ink, so I do something pretty rough like this. So this is the pencils for the piece. It's a chair. There was I don't know if any of you guys have kids, but a lot of times they do fundraising at the schools. So I get roped into drawing things. And so this is, usually they go for a pittance because no one really cares about comics at the schools. And so they go, well, you know what, if you drew the bell tower of the school in the background, maybe someone would buy it because it has part of the school in it. So I got Batman standing on a 3-foot ledge with this bell tower behind him. I said, all right, whatever. So I'm here to serve. So I start out like this, and then it goes to kind of inks, and again, I'm just inking right over it, and that's fairly sketchy, but that's with a micron pen. And then I add more sketching details and drop some shadows in, and then behind him, you can see a little bit of the foliage. You go, why would I draw the foliage right there? And it's because I screwed up his cape. It was like much higher. And I just said, you know what, I'll just bring it down. It's for charity. And I would never do that on a cover that I would present for you guys to buy. So just, give you guys my 110%. So then I spot some more blacks, and that's the shadow of him on this ledge. And I save my favorite parts for the end, which is this bell tower. I'm just kidding. So, so there's some more details, and there's this bell tower, which I had to find reference online. So I think that's the finished piece. So it's fairly simple. So here's another sketch. I used to, at some of these shows, I would do a bunch of sketches in advance and then hide them around the convention hall and then tweet out like a photo of where they were, and I put one in the bathroom stall once. And these guys went into it was a women's bathroom. I had my wife put it in the women's bathroom. And these guys ran into the women's bathroom, just trashed it. It was like all of them. And so I felt really bad. So anyway, so here's the Flash one. Okay, so this is an iPad sketch I did with my wife while we were flying somewhere. It's all just done by hand, just very quickly. And I don't know if you guys have iPads or not, but they're really good for doing quick concept art, and I love the fact that you can kind of carry that with you, and you don't have to carry a box of watercolors or whatnot. And hey, this is my compromising picture of myself. No, that's Stanley, and that's Todd McFarlane. That's my wife to the side, and this is what we do every night. We invite some professionals over, hang out. I'll tell you that when I got into comics, I'd say Stan Lee was probably my very first inspiration. And I remember going to a school library. I was probably in 2nd or 3rd grade, and the book Origin of Marvel Comics had come out. And if you guys are familiar, I don't know if they changed the cover, but the first printing of it had these kind of two forearms, you know, kind of coming out and a typewriter. And you guys are going, what's a typewriter? It's a whole device, keyboard without a monitor. And I was like, man, who's this guy with these gnarly buff forearms? And so I had this whole mystique of who Stan Lee was, and I would never have imagined in a million years that someday I would get to not only meet him, but actually work on a project with him, which was What If Stan Lee Reimagined the DC Universe. And he's been a real hero of mine, and just a great guy. So, you know, when I go to these kinds of events, and I think that was for the premiere of Iron Man or something in Vegas, just get to hang out and talk to him. And this was like 1 or 2 in the morning, so Stan Lee is, I think he's in his 80s at least at this point. And so to me, he's a role model in many ways, because I want to continue being able to do that kind of stuff when I'm in my 80s. So he is truly the man for good reasons. Anyway, so here's another work in progress, shifting gears again. In San Diego, I'll organize this more thematically, so, and I'll probably have some other pictures too, but this is a variant cover I did for Legion of Superheroes. And so it's just Superboy flying with Crypto. And if you've read any interviews of mine before, I hate drawing animals. Animals are the hardest thing to draw, just because they have their own unique anatomy and physiology. And so you spend your whole career trying to learn how to draw buff dudes, and then I'm going to draw like an animal, and it's a whole different thing. Not only just, look, I can draw like a portrait of an animal, just my fur. If you want to animate that animal, you know, they all run differently. Horses' knees break and go at different angles than human knees, and their front legs go asymmetrically, and their hind legs go symmetrically, and all this crazy stuff. So drawing dogs, if you look at Batman Hush, I drew Crypto in there, and it looks pretty much like a big rat. And that was pretty much, I had some pretty good rat reference, and I just kind of extrapolated from there and created, because I don't know if he's legal or whatever, so. But the point of this cover was, I gotta show Superboy looking happy with his dog, right? And so, if you look, he kind of had a flatter kind of torso. It's actually very, more graphical, and so I was very focused on the outline of it. But at the end of the day, I thought it looked kind of flat, so the final version had a little more roundness to it. Can you see that in the pecs? And these pecs, right? So the pecs and these muscles over here. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I got that going, and then, so here's the close-up of the dog. I don't know what kind of breed that is. Doesn't it kind of look rat-like? I don't know. It's a lab mix. All right, man, thanks. Then look at his front paw. Like, one of them was completely broken. I'm not sure where that. So, yeah, don't look there. Anyway, so that's why there's all this other cool stuff, because you won't look at that broken paw. And look at the spaceship and go, whoa, spaceship. All right. Oh, here's Watchmen. All right, see how all these things tie into something that's happening today. This was actually a piece that we did many years ago at the studio, back when it was Wildstream Studios in La Jolla. And so we're big fans of Watchmen. I think it was probably the 20th anniversary, is that possible? So 2006 maybe? Eddie, is that right? Okay. And so we each drew a character. I did Rorschach in the middle, and different artists in the studio did different pieces. And we just did it for fun. That's the black and white version. That's the Superboy piece I should be Okay, so sometimes while I'm working, I'm asked to do different kinds of things, and so I think the people at Sony wanted me to customize some PSPs that had just come out. They had put out the new, smaller versions, and they were going to give them away in the contest. So again, these microns work really well. They actually adhere to the slip surface. You kind of have to smear it a little to get it to work, but I ended up doing, I think that's a Batman in progress. So you can see how the ink beads up. So if you look at all the lines, you can see how they're kind of broken. And then you see the gray smears, and that literally is my finger kind of smearing across the surface. Oh, so that's Batman and Joker, and so you can flip it around. I'm just gonna go through random All right, hold on. Let me go through some of these here. All right. This one you can't see very well, but this is it's a French photographer, and a lot of people ask like, what art inspires you, and there's a lot, but in particular, there's a whole movement. Obviously, Dali did a lot of surrealist paintings where things were kind of floating and had all these disparate objects. And photographers would do this